Good morning, everybody, and welcome. It is Vaal Tuesday, 16th of March. Some of us are sneaking in breakfast between load shedding. Sure, we've had load shedding sensations countrywide. It's actually quite an issue for clocking the gallop, isn't it, Nico? Because it's not always your time frame and my time frame and our schedules, but also guests. So it isn't easy.
Yeah, I've got a guest we'll be doing later on. Laura King is going to join me from Dubai, and I had to schedule around load shedding. I had to explain to her what it meant, the term load shedding, because my brother, when I was speaking to him in the UK, when I was mentioning the term load shedding, he said, "What the hell is that?" So I had to explain to him how it all works. So yeah, so we've got to juggle and put everyone around the block and get them into the right time slot. But yeah, it's the way of the world, and we've got to work around it.
Well, we've got racing today out at the Vaal. It's quite a competitive card. As you said earlier on in the week, there is just so much happening on Clocking the Gallop. It's Cheltenham today. Nico's got back-to-back meetings. He's got interviews. I'm working up a storm. So it's tough times, but it's exciting times. So keep watching the space. We've got lots of content coming your way. And national yearling sales on the horizon as well. So plenty going on, and we're going to get straight into it, Nico. It's a 8-race program, so that means the bipod will be off at 1 o'clock, and it's certainly easier than KwaZulu-Natal racing. I can understand why the Ghost Rider left me to my own devices yesterday, but gee whiz, it's hard. Somebody was racing for the million in the last race, looking for the form horse to arrive, and boom, they bought a horse paid, I don't know, nearly 40 rand to win on the tote, and that was the last nail in the coffin.
Yeah, but I've been astounded by the number of people in a straight line that will tip horses, that go, 6 or 7 winners in a row, Neil. I mean, it's actually mind-blowing that you can get, especially in Natal, out of season, I'm talking about, to get that many winners in a row. And you know what? 7 winners in a second, Neil. That was incredible. I wasn't made aware of it until the last leg. So the only race I watched was the last. But yeah, it was touched off. So that's sad for the person concerned, but great going, not easy to do that.
Okay, let's get on to the racing then, Nico. Race 1 today is due off at 1 o'clock, as I said. It's a fillies and mares. It's a work riders maiden plate, so I'm going to pass it over to you because you're pretty good on these work riders. You just got a knack of getting them. But I must say, there's some nicely bred horses here. I mean, you look at Sarsaparilla, who I actually liked last time, if you remember. She ran okay. She ran 3rd, but Charles Mabaya rides. But the Paul Peter yard are getting prolific at these, aren't they?
They are. And by the way, Sarsaparilla and Wonderful Rock are scratched. And unfortunately, Sarsaparilla is now deceased, Neil. Is the reason for the scratching. So yeah, so 2 and 6 are out, which reduces the field down to 9 runners this morning for this one. So yeah,
well, it's got some prominent owners: Colin Gordon, Charles Savage, and Mrs. Malherbe. So shame they'll be disappointed with that because a lovely pedigree.
Yeah, and look, I'd been for her the last 2 runs, Neil, hoping that she would crack it soon. She ran okay, but I wouldn't say it was anything out of the ordinary. Belle of Belize, Neil, they've taken the tongue tie off after a good run to Golden Spoon last week, and her penultimate run was over this at this course, but over a bit further, and you'd have to feel that she would be the one to beat Belle of Belize on that last run. The interesting horse for me would have to be number 11, Neil, Lee Express. And the reason I say that is because you and I were at Lance Michaels' outfit when when there was lots of money for it on debut. It ran 4th to Aberdare, but it didn't get the best of starts that day. And she was weaving her way through the field. So she's got Joe Guinguiza on board. And I find that extremely interesting because Joe never rides for the Fabian Hubbard yard. In fact, Joe's, I think, based at Reinkies and Fabian's based at the Vaal. So there's obviously been some deal where they wanted the guy on because he is a very good work rider. So I make 11 Lee Express, the horse to challenge Belle of Belize. But Belle of Belize is very short, 7.5 to 10. You'd have the feeling that that would be the one to beat. But I think there's value in Lee Express at 3 to 1. And I think it rests between those two in terms of who wins.
Okay, well, you see, you are up to scratch with these work riders maiden plates. So I'm just going to bow to your superior knowledge and the fact that you knew there were scratchings in that race. I didn't even bother to look at the race. I looked at the ones later on. Okay, so Lee expressed the value.
Lee expresses the value, and I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility that it can get to Belize, up the straight certainly, but Belize is obviously the horse to beat, and judging by the betting movements too, you'd say it's between 1 and 11.
Okay, looks like Dennis Schwartz is not riding today.
He was injured, Neil. He came off that horse in the Senor Santa. Sean Terry's horse, Golden Bell, I think was euthanized, actually. Broke down, yeah. So I think, all the best to Dennis. I'm not sure of the extent of his injuries, but he came down in the Senor Santa on the weekend, and I'm hoping that he recovers quickly. So that's the reason why he ain't riding today. And Marco van Rensburg rides 5, freezing fast in this race. And there's a tongue tie number 9, Time to Conquer. I think Pressure Halter as well on the 11, Wisdom. But those are the changes, in the second race.
Okay, well, let's have a look at race 2. I thought there was some interesting horses here, one of which was the first timer, Nico, number 7, Global Player, for a certain Colin Govinsamy. We haven't seen Colin because of COVID for a while, but he's got a lot of horses. This actually caught my eye because he's got a quite nice pedigree. He's the Global View out of Night in Black Silk, a Jallard mare, and Warren Kennedy rides for Paul Peters. So I suppose you've got to respect any money for that. But what about, let's start with your opinion on number 1, Raise the Red Lantern, who has got a love affair with the second box. And now that would worry me, because I'm almost tempted to take a trifecta, go Field by Banker, Raised Lantern by Field.
Yeah. And well, she gets the utmost in the saddle, or he gets the utmost in the saddle from Kamalo, does Raise the Red Lantern. And you'd have to feel that he'd be knocking on the door again today. Whether or not he'll do it, well, time will tell. But he's drifted out in the betting. I think he opened 12 to 10. He's now 15 to 10. I think he's there for the taking in terms of someone to catch him. Funny enough, Neil, the horse that I've gone for is a horse from the Yanni Borman stable. Freezing Fast is the horse that I'm going for here.
With Marco riding.
Marco van Rensburg now rides, and he'll have his tail up, Neil, because of that win aboard Philip Vermeulen's horse, which was an unbelievable, which is an unbelievable story in itself, Neil. It really is an unbelievable story because, I always like doing post-mortem. So funny enough, I did go back and spent a long time of analyzing the race. Savannah Storm is the name of the horse. And actually, I'm wanting to go out and visit Philip Vermeulen to see what he's all about. So that's on my radar. But So Van Rensburg rode a very good race on Savannah Storm. The run that interests me with Freezing Fast is the run behind Battle Force, Neil. So you go to that run behind Battle Force and you'll see that he ran second, 1 3/4 lengths to Battle Force, who's come out and won twice since and is progressive. So I think at 12 to 1, that Freezing Fast from the Borman stable offers some good value. The run to Dawn of a New Era was also a good run. So I'm looking to beat Raise the Red Lantern. I liked Conetra last time out, Neil, remember. Just got touched off by Rock the Casvar. But had it have been for another couple of strides, would have won it. And that was over 1,000. Now goes over 1,400. And I looked at the pedigree. It's an old Barbara Sunner pedigree, Windspiel and the Olden stud. And I found that Conetra would do the trip. So I'm also a bit worried about Conetra, but my value in the race is definitely the 5 Freezing Fast. And just to quickly go to Global Player, you mentioned the first timer. Yes, Colin bought it together with Hedley McGrath, funny enough. And it was initially down at Yvette Bremner's stables in Quebec. But Colin actually phoned me and said to me, look, where would you take this? I need to take this horse, where would you put it? And I said, well, give me a few options. And I actually helped him send it to Paul Peter because he wanted to know where to take it. So I said, take it to Paul Peter. You've had some good success with him. And that was the story.
Here's a question for you that the public might be interested to know the answer of. Are you getting commission from Paul Peter? You sent him MK's Pride as well.
Yeah, Yeah, strange that it works at both those horses. Well, I didn't send them to Paul Peter. I asked the guys where they would
No,
like to
but
send,
you're
and I
advising
was,
these guys.
yeah, both Koos and Kale and Colin. Yeah, I must
Well, you
admit I
did
did
it proud with the MK
direct them. I
pride.
did
My
direct them.
word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there we go. So that's the reason why Global, and it's a very nice horse, by the way.
You
I
didn't
remember
have a
winning it.
word. You didn't have a word with Stephen Joel and Jessica Slack, did you? Or Jessica Joel about sending summer pudding to Paul Peter as well.
No, no, I wasn't involved in that one. Yeah.
You're on a
So
hat.
anyway, so that's my assessment. What did you like? You haven't said what you liked.
I liked Ferraris riding the 12 Southern Song, Nico, but not strong. It ran around the bend on debut and was drawn 13 out of 14, and now up the straight from a 12 draw, and the Azzy Yard's in really good form, eh?
Yes, they are.
So, and for our good friend Larry Nestat, he's one of the real good guys in racing. So I'm hoping that runs well. But to be honest with you, it's the first leg of the PA. So I think from a PA point of view, you can bank a raise the Red Lantern, because if he doesn't win, I think he'll run second again. So for me, and then I'm going to just muck about with exactors and swingers with Southern Song.
Okay.
Right, the next race, very important scratching here. Number 1, Winter Smoke is out, who probably would have been tough to beat here because it was a progress plate for fillies and mares and was best weighted. Rod Beckus agreed, but now that comes out, the race has a bit of an open field to it. Slalom Queen was quite interesting because she has done well over this course and distance. She's had 2 starts and she's won them both. So I would imagine for me, she's going to be my first choice. But did you trust the race? What did you think?
Yeah, I actually liked this race, even with Winter Smoke in it. I was prepared to beat Winter Smoke because of the fact that she was going to carry 61. But she's come up on me before when I've brassed her. So, you know, I was wanting to in the race because I liked other horses. Funny enough, the horse that I like to win it is the Stable Companion, which is a massive jockey strike. Pierce Stradham gets aboard Verena, Neil. We've been for Verena a number of times before, and I thought that on the run to Sweet Future, it's a great run to Sweet Future, Neil, who's a very talented sprinter. And I thought on that run alone, where it received 2.5 kilos, albeit from Sweet Future, I thought that run really crept into it. And I thought that Verena with Pierce Stradham was the horse to beat. Strangely enough, Neil, the horse that interests me greatly is the horse down at the bottom. This horse, Dark Crystal, is the only 4-year-old in the race. The rest are 3 and carries bottom weight 53.5. But if you go back in its runs, second to Roll in the Hay, albeit receiving 3 kilos, but Roll in the Hay is rated 105 these days after its win in the Eastern Cape. And it's run again to Roll in the Hay, where it received 3 kilos and ran 3 3/4 lengths behind. I think this horse from the Bar and Burtis stable with the blinkers on today, although it's almost bottom of the board and there'll be deductions, I think, with the scratching, but I think this is a runner, Dark Crystal.
Well, I agree with you. Certainly to be thrown into trifectas. I mean, you've got to play aggressively here because it's a small field. There's only 6 runners. But if you get the trifecta right and you take it multiple times, you can make money. So I'm with you. Those are my 3, 4, 5, and 7, and pretty much in that order. I just hope Verena at home. I hope Verena isn't in the box next to Afternoon Tea, because they're stable companions. I'd hate to think Afternoon Tea is whispering sweet nothings. Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
but what a class that horse is.
She's got full of bad habits. But yeah, so my first choice is Verena, ahead of horses like Dark Crystal, who I've elevated up the order. You know, my belief is Dark Crystal is better than its advertised 84 merit rating. I think she's better than that. And I'd be prepared to stick her in today and expect a big run from her. Slalom Queen, likewise, has been flattered to deceive on many occasions. Yeah, so I like those 3, the same as you.
Okay, next race. This is a 2096 handicap, and it's actually a nice 96 handicap. Unfortunately, we've lost number 1, Sunshine Silk. who is not running. But Johnny Hero won a really good race last time, but you've got some established stayers, Sell High, Zeal and Zest. And then, of course, you've got the up-and-coming Narchi, Nico. I thought this was a really good race. So even if you're not having a bet and you enjoy horse racing, watch this race. I think it'll be a nice race to watch.
Absolutely. Now, Narchi has got the profile of a up-and-coming 3-year-old. He's certainly improving and so forth. And I followed him early on in his career. I wasn't on him last time out, and he absolutely drew away from the opposition. But Neil, our Coys runs again. They've put blinkers on our Coys today, and I'm not sure that might make the difference, or if it will make the difference. The point being is that if you look on an exposed run where our Coys beat Narchi by a short head back on the 12th of December, strictly on paper, there's no ways Narchi can beat our Coys on that run. And our Coys is down at,
correct. 6 kilograms.
Yeah. Now, I spoke to Joey Soma after the last run because he was bullish and we liked it.
Yeah.
Now, Dr. Doolittle won by the proverbial racecourse that day. But that I believe that our Coys is a lot better than that, Neil. I think that Joey Soma is expected. I haven't spoken to him, but I'm thinking with putting Muzi Yeni on, who's his go-to guy when it comes to, you know, the ones that he wanted to extract the best out of the horses from. Got the green light, perfect example. But 52.5 kilos, our Coys comes into the race big time. And I thought this was open. I thought Narchi, to me, doesn't represent value. It was 8.5 to 10 Narchi when the betting opened, or 8 to 10.
Too short.
It's now 11 to 10. I won't be taking 11 to 10 Narchi. It may well win, but and it's progressive, but I don't think I'll be taking that. So I made it open. I put in horses like Sell High and Zeal and Zest. You mentioned both of those two, and our Coys, but I'm not a big Narchi fan today. I think in due course, he's going to prove to be a wonderful horse. But on the strict run to our Coys, I think our Coys has got a chance at 12 to 1.
Okay, back to the Arcoy. Well, he's starting to be a horse that plays like the football club that he's named after. He's a bit streaky and he's becoming expensive to follow, Nico. Look, he's not quite at afternoon teas level yet, but he is proving tough to catch. But I 100% agree with everything that you say on the form. There's nothing between him and Zeal and Zest, and he's got Narchi well beaten. I'm going to throw one at you, and it's one of your old faithfuls. Now, you've gone for Barak. When Barak was winning, you said, Neil, this is a proper stayer, and he's going to do well. Now, he's back over 2,000, but what interested me was Randall Simons' booking, because Randall rides particularly well for Mike de Kock.
Yeah, he does.
And, he's sitting off 55 kilograms, and if you have a look on the Sell High Barak run on the 26th of January, he's 2 kilograms better off being beaten by 0.8. So he should get the beating of Sell High on that form. And yeah, I just think that he might be a runner here.
Yeah, look, I prefer him over Further. As I say, he's got a huge stride in him, Neil, and there's no doubt the course, the Vaal 2000, Neil, absolutely love the Vaal 2000. I think he's run there. I don't think he's run over the Vaal 2000. No, he hasn't. No course and distance form, but he's run the Vaal Classic 2-4. He's run Turfentine 2000. I just feel he needs a bit further. You know, if the race was a mile and a half, I'd probably have gone for him, but it would have been a different field anyway. Not for me today, but you know what? It extends further than Narchi. The race doesn't end at Narchi. That's what I'm trying to point out here. So I'm prepared, you know, if I'm trying to beat Narchi, I'm basically putting in the field. But I'm looking for Arcois to run a much better race than 11 lengths to Dr. Doolittle. I do take into note that I think that the previous run to that behind Portkey was too far for him. But I'm wary of this race, Neil.
Okay, I think we're both singing off the same hymn sheet in search of something to beat Narchi. In fact, we could say with Narchi, we're keeping our eyes peeled, not only the Narchi peeled.
Yes.
Right, next race, fillies and mares, Nico. Sure. A lowly 65 divided handicap. Frikkie Grayling ride. Not Frikkie Grayling. What's Grayling's first name?
Henny Grayling.
Henny Grayling, thank you. Henny Grayling rides number 15, Pucker Up, who I actually quite liked, but was drawn 17. But I don't know, got a bit of cold on that now. I think Winning Queen is scratched, number 12. What did you like here? Because this looks like a nightmare. If you catch the quartet here, you'll be making money.
It's a terrible race. Stayster, by the way, rides the 17 Flying Fantasy, is also drawn deep. Stayster claims 1.5 kilos. Neil, I'm completely at odds with myself here. I don't know what to tell you. I'm just going for one horse as a roving banker here, and that is Euphoriant, with Cole Dickon up from a 1 draw. I just believe that that she's consistent. She's come out of her maidens running okay. This Felt Flowers, always winning at a big price for Bar and Bortis, and always seems to have a 1 up. The horse that I really like to go for is Mazzari, but I've lost interest in Mazzari, Neil. I don't care what anyone tells me now. I've gone into that mode where, fair enough, I did my money on Blue Spark the other day, because I went for it so many times and it ended up coming up on me. But I'm not going to go back to Mazzari. I've gone off Mazzari as a racehorse, and you can back her with your money. I'm not going to go for her. So I've gone for just one roving banker for me, 10 Euphoriant. I was going to leave this one up to you, Neil, and pass the buck, do a hospital pass on to you, because I know you get stuck into the form in these races.
I did, Nico. By the way, I don't know if it was scratched earlier, but it's scratched now. Maybe it just got updated because I'm keeping my eye on the scratchings. Race 5, number 8, Plumfield, is also out.
Okay.
That must have just come through. Bruised Right 4. So 2 scratchings.
Plumfield,
one of our old ones, Plumfield and Winning Queen. Listen, it's a nightmare. It's Field and More, F&M, fillies and mares. I think you've got the right idea. You've got to go wide. It's a field race. You've thrown in Euphoriant. I'm going to come with one horse, which I'm going to check on the betting because I think it could be quite big odds. Let me just go on quickly before what race is this? Race 5. Let's see. I'm sure it's 25 to 1. It's actually been tickled up a little bit, and it's a horse called Irish Dame, Nico.
Let's have a look there. Yeah, the 6. Yeah, the blinkers have come off, by the way.
I'm not happy with that. I'm not happy that they've backed it because I haven't had my bet on. Let me just I'm just going on to one of the traders here just to see what's happened there, because anyway, that's what I liked in the race, but the value's gone. Well, it might have shortened because of the 2 scratchings, of course, perhaps. Anyway, bottom line field race, Nico?
Yeah, go as many as you can over here. As I said, my roving bank, if I was to take one, was Euphoriant, but I don't like the look of the race, and I'm not prepared to get involved in it too heavily.
Yeah, it's shortening as I speak, actually. It's going green on this website I'm looking at. Oh, well, I'm not happy with that at all because they've taken me price. Oh, well, that's the merits of you should get on in the night before, which I normally do. Okay, let's move on to race 6 then. Now, Nico, we've got 2 maiden handicaps back to back.
Yeah.
Interesting. Neil Maurice has a runner here. Number 2, Arizona Lady, owned by Neil Maurice, with some prominent owners, Ronnie Napier and Mickey Goss. Must have a bit of a sneak, but she's got to carry 59.5. What did you like here?
Yeah, so I've looked at the next 2 maiden handicaps pretty strongly over here. And Neil, again, it goes on, if you go on weight, then you've got to look at the horse number 6, Intercity, Neil, here. Now, Intercity is ridden by Caller Jacobs, who claims 4 kilos off the daughter of Wiley Hall. And strictly speaking, again, you look at the run behind In Limbo. Well, Intercity beat Arizona Lady by half a length and is now in receipt of 6.5 kilos from that run. So if Intercity beats Arizona Lady and a 6.5 kilograms better, you'd have to say that Intercity had to have a chance. Now, Intercity was priced up at 20-1, and Arizona Lady was at 7-2. So there was a big disparity in the betting, and they almost probably, would have to have equal sort of a chance. But the one is written by an apprentice jockey claiming 4. The other one's written by a bang and form, strong senior jockey in Kamalo. So, that's the interesting fact over here. Intercity comes into it. I do make Arizona Lady a huge runner, even though the fact that she's got to carry 59.5 kilos. But I think Intercity comes into it. And the other one that I wanted to mention is Duchess Bernadette. But the problem with Duchess Bernadette is she cannot get out the stall gates. So I went for her last time, hoping that she'd be declared a non-runner. I took the 14-1. She was backed into 6.5-1, and she didn't jump. Now, that's the last thing you want, is to do your money at the gate when you don't get a true run for your money. But if she jumps, she's in the race, Duchess Bernadette. And at 7-1, she also comes into the race. And those were the 3 that I was going to base my race on, race 6.
Okay. Nico, sorry, I'm actually having a bet, which is, if it was any other channel, I'd be ashamed, but this is the Clock in the Gallop channel. So, folks, I need to get on this horse before it shortens. So,
which one is it? Irish Dame?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. What price is it there?
No, it's shortened. It's shortening. So it's 20-1, 16-1. But I got a sneaky suspicion. It'll probably drift again, because that is often the case. But let's just do that. So to sum up, Nico, race 6. I'm trying to keep an eye on your race. I also thought Intercity. But what is your? I mean, he hasn't done too much wrong, Collar Jacobs, has he?
Yeah, but it's you see, it is round the turn, Neil. I'd be, with these apprentices claiming 4, they've got to judge the pace right and all that. There's just so much more in favor of the senior riders. So Kamalo and Zaki would have one up on young Caller Jacobs in terms of how the race will actually pan out. Strictly speaking, on the race, if you're looking at the form, then Intercity comes into it, but that's easier said than done. And as to how that race actually pans out, but definitely it represented value. I see it shortened to Intercity from 20-1 to 12-1 now, so that's interesting that the prices have been taken on that. But
so what would you do in the exotics here? Because this is one of these classic races, Nico, where I would imagine the bulk of punters are going to go 1 and 2. Maybe some will go 1, 2, 3. But you and I are looking at it being a maiden handicap, and we go a bit wider. Now, if they run 2, 1, 3 or 1, 2, 3, we'll generally have egg on our face, and people say we're nuts. Why didn't you just go for the form runners? But my temptation is to play a bit wider. What would you do in the PA? Would you be happy with? What would you do in the PA?
No, I bank of the 2.
You bank of the 2.
I bank of the 2 in the PA. I think the 2 will run a place, but I don't want to put Duchess Bernadette in my bets unless because at the end of the day she could stand, and that's going to be a problem for me. I don't know if they've got over that problem. At best, I'd put in, I might put in 2, 5, and 6 in the PA, but I'd be comfortable. I think Arizona Sky will run a place, Neil.
Okay.
Arizona Lady, right?
Did you tell me, because I was trying to multitask, and us men were not very good at that. Did you tell me who's riding number 4, Crusade to Royalty, or is that?
No, that's Randall Simons is on Crusade to Royalty now. Randall Simons.
I like that a bit, Nico.
Do you? Yeah.
Just purely because it's carrying 58 kilograms. It's getting 2 kilograms from Amber Glow Star and 1.5 from Arizona Lady. So I haven't finished studying that race. I'm going to come back. I don't trust it. The handicap, maiden handicap, which leads us on to race 7, also being a maiden handicap. This is Her Serene Highness Princess Charlene Empress Club 17th of April maiden handicap. We were talking about the charity angle and the fact that Mike Whitstock and the RA have spoken. They've had a meeting. They've confirmed the upping of stakes for that wonderful race. So well done to them. But this is a bread and butter, literally, maiden handicap fillies and mares. And I like a horse here, Nico. I like two horses here, actually.
Well, I'm going to definitely guess one of them.
Yes.
Who's a massive, massive runner, Neil. And I'd go so far as to say it'll, if it doesn't win, it'll run. No.
What have you found?
No. So the horse that I think will run a massive race and will run into the first three is number 6, Grace Lou, at 22 to 1. Now that's the horse. Were you going for Opera Glass? Were you? Okay, so Opera Glass is 5.5 to 1. Neil, so the horse I'm going for to run a big race is Grace Lou. On the run to Mirren, I've looked at this quite carefully, and comes in with just 50.5 kilos. And we know that Philip Labuschagne has been training a couple of horses to run into the money, and we've always followed him. So I like Grace Lou a bit. I did also fancy Opera Glass a little bit, but Grace Lou was my kicker here, and I'm going to be taking her each way. And I see that she's as big as 25 to 1.
Well, you can't get hurt at that price, and I can see why, because she's carrying 50.5 kilograms. She's carrying absolutely no weight. So I didn't leave her out of my thing. I just worry that she's had a few starts. The Mirren form worries me, hey. I've looked at it. It pops up everywhere. And I know she herself is running on the card. I'm just worried about that race. You know,
Well, I think it was just too far for her last. I think she's going to be better over the 1700. If you go back to the run to You Deserve It, Neil, back on the 15th of December, it says here never went on. But, I think, that day it was carrying 52. It's 1.5 kilos down from that. I'm prepared to put this one in today. I like Grace Lou a little bit. Now, Gal Gadot, Neil, the one horse, is carrying 60 kilos, but gets Kamalo on it. And there's a lot of, so they say, form lines over there. So basically, Gal Gadot beat all of these other horses in the So They Say run. But there's weight turnarounds. Opera Glass, blinkers now go on. It's an important update there. The blinkers are on Opera Glass, and she's very well bred. So you know she's going to get the 1700 meters. So, Gal Gadot will be on the premises, but with 60 kilos, it all depends how Samanga Kamala rides it. Now, when you look, Neil, at the comparison between Gal Gadot and Bedouin Bride on the run to Rosa Prima, my feeling is that even though there's a 3 kilogram swing there, that Gal Gadot will still beat Bedouin Bride. The fact of the matter is that it was sailing past it over 1450, and I've no doubt that Gal Gadot will beat Bedouin Bride. Hence, I don't like Bedouin Bride at all. Yeah. So, from the top weights, I like Gal Gadot. I'm not particularly over the moon about Love Posey. I know you put the number 3 up there, but I don't really like that. I like Grace Lou. That's my kicker.
Well, I'm happy to go. Grace Lou will go in my swingers, but I'm very bullish on Opera Glass. Bred by Wilkebos Drifter Maritzfontein, lovely pedigree, forward mare, blinkers go on, well drawn. Remember, this is now around the turn. It's 1700, so it's drawn 3. That's a positive. Particularly when you look at her last 2 starts, which were both around the turn on the Vaal Classic. She was drawn 10 out of 10. And she was drawn 11 out of 12. So she's had 2 shocking draws. She's got every chance today. And she's carrying 54 kilograms. She's getting 6 kilograms from Gal Gadot. That's my value of the day, number 5, Opera Glass. But equally, I do have to respect Love Posey because of the Bella Black form. And sure, I mean, that is just getting better and better and better, that Bella Black form.
Yeah, and when you look at its last run, it raced wide, so it was effectively out of the race last time out. And I think the blinkers also attributed to that. So, without the blinkers on today, you'd want to put Love Posey in. I must admit, I don't like Love Posey. I like Opera Glass a bit. I don't like the 2 or the 3. Yeah, Grace Lou, Gal Gadot, and your horse, Opera Glass there for me.
I'm just going to have a look at the race because out of my own interest, actually. Love Posey. So what race would that have been? That would have been her second start. I'm just going to get it up here and then share. with you guys. Quickly having a look, share screen, and we're going to go to this one, and we're going to share. So here's the Bella Black form. So Bella Black, the irony of this is that Bella Black herself hasn't won again. The Bella Black hasn't won, but Say When has won twice, including by many lengths, and then trotted up again. Hotchawitchy has won. All Aglow has won. Lyrical Dancer goes. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the computer form says 5. It's actually 7 wins have come from that. And including, there's Love Posey. There's Crusade to Royalty, which I mentioned earlier on, also from the Bella Black form. So that's why I liked a bit of the Crusade to Royalty earlier on. And Flash Rock has actually won. This Dancing Arabian, you set me right. You said Neil's Dilly. But nevertheless, that's a second placing, isn't it? It's on second there.
Yeah.
So there's a second, a win, and a couple of placings. So you've got to respect the Bella Black form. But she has to give Opera Glass 2 kilograms. That's why I'm more with Opera Glass.
Yeah.
That Bella Black form is crazy.
It is indeed. And that will take us on to the last race. By the way, just a quick jockey change in that 7th race. Van Rensburg Rise, number 17, Winston's Nanny. The last race of the day, Neil, is an MR84 handicap. It's again up the straight, 1,500 meters. Nathan Klinker's on the 13 Super Mufti. I think that's the only change in the last race. It's a tough old contest, this one. I didn't really look into it too carefully. I thought it was open. But let's just start with this horse, Prince Evlenov, because I remember one day arriving at the course and standing with Simanga Kamal on entry to the course, and he said to me he really likes this horse, and he's expecting this horse since his gelding to kick on. And he has. I think his last one was very good. But to carry 59.5 against this field, you'd think he's just a sitting duck there, unless he's improved a hell of a lot with the gelding. But I liked his last one. I thought his last one was very good.
Yeah, and Alec Laird is in great form. I wrote here, Yard is hot, but you're right, it is an 84 handicap, and you've got horses. Let's start with Starflash. Not that I like Starflash, but he is the line horse. He's your ultimate line horse. He very seldom runs a bad race. And I'm sure he'll be on the premises again. You've got to bear in mind that he's a 7-time winner. So in those circumstances, he's getting 1.5 kilograms from Prince Evlenov, who is a 2-time winner and obviously has his career in front of him. But Starflash is an interesting horse, but I'm going to look further down the handicap. Obviously, Suited Connector, very interesting because he ran behind Prince Evlenov last time. Now, I think I'm right in saying that this is a half-brother to the gold medallion winner, isn't it? The Dennis Dreyer train. So both of us are question marks over coup de grace in terms of stallions, but this might be one of his better ones. And I think you've got to respect him with Craig Zaki on board and getting as much as 3.5 kilograms now from Prince Evlenov. So if you translate that just onto form, there's not much between them, although Prince Evlenov should by rights confirm it because there's only 1 kilogram difference.
I think he will. I think he will confirm it with Suited Connector. I don't know whether Suited Connector can go the 1,500. I'm worried about the trip with that horse and the fact that Prince Evlenov was drawing away from him. Suited Connector goes off, skating off to the front, Neil, and stops. So I'm not. I don't like that. I think Prince Evlenov will have his measure. The horse directly below Suited Connector, Stop for Nothing, Neil. He's run a few good races up the Vaal Straight. And when you go to the Ice Lord form, Starflash seems to have him beaten on that last run together. But then go further, the horse that interests me greatly here is number 8, Governor's Glory, Neil.
Yes.
Okay. Because he won his maiden so well, and that was up the straight. And then he went round the turn and he basically just over-raced and compounded. I think if you put a line through that last run, the fact of the matter is Flying Carpet, Neil, is a very well-respected horse from the Tarry stable. And Governor's Glory got beat 4 3/4 lengths on debut behind Flying Carpet. I think this horse, Governor's Glory, for me, represents value at 12 to 1. And again, Simons for De Kock.
Yeah, the last run, definitely ignore. And I think you're right. Flying Carpet, I think that's one of the Riton Belegens
That's it.
horses. Yeah, he's got a chance. Sorry, what I was doing was looking at the catalogue to find a little bit more about Coup de Gras, because I wanted to know who his sire was and whether, because you've mentioned it a couple of times about whether they go ground. He was the son of Tappet, by multiple champion sire Tappet. There's only one, by the way, at the National Yearling Sales. So he was by Tappet, but he himself won between 1,200 and a mile. He won a Group 2, the Bayshore Stakes. Yeah, Under Trois is, and Cinderella Beautiful, Liverpool legend. He hasn't quite done it yet, eh? Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll see. I think this is one of the better ones, Suited Connector. Right, coming back to Nico, there's a lot of horses here. There's a lot of horses here. I want to throw two at you. I thought, having spent a lot of time, I spent more time on this race than any of the other races. And the horse I like is a horse I gave no chance to last time. I said it's the punish of the day. And it ran 5th, but ran quite well. And it's Wackus. Now, to me, with Cole Dickon, and this is up the straight, it's not around the turn, so it's drawn 14, so that's okay. And not that anybody likes Whipping Boy, because that's 40 to 1, but when he ran 4th to Whipping Boy, he's 9 kilograms down. Whipping Boy is just 3 kilograms down, so he's got the beating of that. But I think the Shadow Creek run was pretty good, and I think off just 53 kilograms now, with 1.5 kilograms, I expect Wackus to be competitive. If you like a little bit of Wackus, you've got to like El Ramiachi. There's not much between them. I thought that I was actually going to do a commentary for you this morning, because I was going to say that Wackus and El Ramiachi, you can't separate them, because on multiple form lines, wherever the one is, the other one will run. Craig Peters can pull together. You can't separate them.
Yeah.
And then another complete loony, which we've been for before. I want your take on this. Number 14, Magic Vision, who I think is under sufferance. He's under sufferance, but Solomon's claims 1.5, so that alleviates a little bit of that problem. He's got a horrible habit of being slow away, this horse, Magic Vision. But I think, Nico, that they've clocked that he doesn't stay, this horse. So they've been trying 2,000 and 2,400, and now they've dropped him back to the 1,500. And I just want to show you one run, Nico, right at the top there, the 12th of July. And I, believe it or not, I backed it this day. It was 40 to 1. It had a very young Seister on board. Now, it was on the 12th of July last year. He was very wet behind the ears, and it was a horrendous ride. He came from last and did everything but fall off and got beaten. Yeah. And I had 4 places, and it ran 5th, beaten a short head for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. I was inconsolable. But anyway, if you have a look, 53.5 kilograms that day, right? And now he's carrying 50.5, so down 3 kilograms. If you have a look at your Prince Evlenov, who ran in that race.
Yes.
Prince Evlenov is down a kilogram. So he's 3 kilograms better off than Prince Evlenov. And I just think he's back over this right trip. He's been trying 2,000. I don't think that's his game. So he must be any price, but
I think he's only 14. Well, I'm looking here, he's only 14 to 1. I say only because I expect him to be a bigger price, but I think you're right. I think he'll prefer the straight, and I think he'll prefer the drop down and trip dramatically. So he's out of a grade 1 winning mare, by the way. Little Miss Magic, she won a Group 1 for Team Valor. Little Miss Magic.
And that was overground. Maybe that's why they've been trying her overground.
No, she won it. She won the Empress Club Stakes, I think, if I'm not mistaken. 1,600, I think. My memory's a bit dodgy, but I think she did. But Neil, so yeah, I wouldn't put you off Magic Vision, and I'd say have a chance. But I'm looking for an improved run from this Governor's Glory, Neil. I think back up the straight. He's a lovely galloping type. And I like kept with Simon's on board again. Well, for the
Yes.
first time, rather. That's my horse at 12-1 that I'm throwing in here. Governor's Glory.
Nico, I'm just doing something that I wanted to do. I mean, look what this horse has been running against, Magic Vision. I've written my own notes here, so that I'm just actually saving time because I said, go look at form grids, Neil. But it's run behind African Adventure and Sell High. Okay, admittedly got thumped.
Well, Sell High, you look earlier on, Neil. Sell High in the earlier race is running an merit-rated 96 handicap.
Yes.
And you look at that, okay, fair enough, it got 9 kilos from Sell High, but this is an 84 handicap, so it's running in 2 divisions higher, basically.
Yeah, and actually, I'm getting a bit way late because that's not what I wanted to look. I wanted to go to its maiden, actually, Magic Vision, see what distance it won against. But look here, Magic Vision. Again, it's not quite the right.
Just click on Magic Vision, the name. Click on its name there.
I just want to see Magic Vision, the name. Yeah.
And then you'll get all, and then just widen that if you can, and you'll be able to see those are all its runs. So you'll be able to see it started off running behind Green Laser. Now Green Laser was exported. That's how good Green Laser was. It ran 4.5 lengths to Tree Tumbo at level weights in a maiden.
Yeah, but this is the question that's answered me. He said won its maiden over 2,000. Actually, it did win its over 2,000. So it's only ever really tried 2,000. I mean, obviously early on in his career.
But early on, it didn't run a bad race. I mean, Alibi Guide ran 2 3/4 lengths, I think, at this track, Vaal, 1,600 meters, just over a little bit further. But its runs over a mile weren't bad. Look at that run to You Can't Hurry Love. If you go back.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, I mean, he's 4 years old. I don't know what's happened to him. But anyway, I just thought he's carrying 50.5 kilograms. But you're right, he's not the right price, Nico. I mean, I thought he'd be 25-1. So it's a bit of a moot point because I thought he'd be 25-1 and he's not. He's 14-1.
Okay, but just let's nail our colours to the mast in terms of numbers here. I mean, how many would you have to go? Quite a few?
Well, what are we talking? Place accumulator?
Yeah, PA. I'm thinking mainly PA.
PA, I don't think there'll be an upset in the PA, particularly. I think Prince Evlenov, one of Prince Evlenov or Suited Connector would probably run a place. If you're looking for a Hail Mary result, I would put in Stop for Nothing, Wakas, El Romiachi, and Magic Vision. But to me, it's not like one of those fillies and mares. I mean, earlier on, that fillies and mares race.
Yeah, that's the one I gave to you. Yeah, I gave to you. I like you forward there to run a place, but I mean, that is very, very open.
Yeah.
As you said.
Okay, Nico. We've got a lot of meetings today, and we're going to try and live stream from Johnny's on Thursday. We're going to try it because last time we went to Johnny's to live stream, I never took the computer out the bag.
Yeah, so that's a lunch venue that we've got on Thursday. But just very quickly, Neil, today is the first day of Cheltenham. We have to mention that before we close off. And again, I've said it on Twitter and I've said it openly. Our thanks to Joe DeMatta and the crowd at International Racing Club for allowing us use of their interviews with Sir Tony McCoy. AP McCoy gives his previews every day here on Clocking the Gallop. We started by putting the one up last night, and it'll be for every day. I'm looking forward to the start. Although traditionally there is the Cheltenham roar, we'll all have to roar from home.
Yes, absolutely. Well, there's been a bit of roaring going on if you're a Spurs fan after losing the North London derby. Another pathetic performance. Except for Lamela. I mean, one has to say, Eric Lamela's performance. I mean, how was that for a goal? And then he really showed some passion for the jersey.
But Neil, that wasn't a penalty. I mean, that was horrific.
No, it wasn't a penalty.
But that wasn't a penalty.
I agree, but the point is with Sanchez and Aurea, Nico, and we all know in the modern game, if you go off your feet as a defender or as a tackler, then you're giving the referee a very easy decision. And he went off his feet. I mean, just stay on your feet, you know. They dive in, these guys. Oh, no, don't get me started. Anyway.
Okay.
Nico, thanks very much. It's been an interesting morning, and it'll be an even more interesting afternoon.
Yeah. Thanks, Neil, and all the best to the players out there. Let's hope that we've picked you some horses today.